What better way for a son and father to bond over than their mutual love for the Dallas Cowboys? Hi, I'm Michael Davis with my dad, Mac. We're a star-studded son and dad duo on the star-studded Cowboys Network, powered by Fans First Sports Network and Boom Broadcasting. And this is Dad and the Boys. Osa, we're glad you're staying home in Big D. Osa Odighizuwa signs a 4-year, $80 million extension with the Dallas Cowboys before free agency starts. Diggy. It's Todd Archer's reporting 4-year, $80 million, 52 guaranteed. And we'll be talking about, all the breakdowns and stuff. But Dad, it feels good for two reasons. One, Osa, one of the better defensive tackles in the NFL, is staying in the Dallas Cowboys. And two, we get it done before free agency. We didn't let anybody have a chance to re-sign him.
Well, three, before free agency, my gosh, if you followed the Dallas Cowboys any length of time, you realize one thing. We don't do these deals before free agency. We do them, if we're lucky, at training camp. At best, and that's a rarity because here lately we've been doing it right at the start of the season. And, both last year you had C.D. Lamb missing time in practice. You had, which I think really affected his connection with Dak a little bit, and you had Dak sign the day of opening day in Cleveland. So, the fact that they actually went out of their norm and they got Diggy done, and he is one of the better defensive tackles in the league. And another thing, think about this. One of the most important positions on a Matt Eberflus's defense is the three technique. Guess who we just signed? Our three technique.
Yeah, we did. And it feels so good, especially with Dallas. The knock on Dallas is not having a strong interior defensive line or rushing attack. But Odighizuwa, if we had lost him, we would have been hurting because he actually last year had the second best pass rushing rate from the defensive tackle spot.
Well, and two, guess what? Not only that, hey, Philly, if you want to keep your boy, guess what? You're gonna have to pay more because we said we took and did it first. We did it first for a change.
Yeah, we did. We did it first. Go throw money at Jalen Carter while you do that.
Or their kid that's going into free agency was right there. He was drafted right there around Odighizuwa. What is it, Williams or what is his name? I don't know. He's a fan. Boy, but you see, he was actually predicted to be right there in the free agency market with Diggy, right there in that money period. So getting it done first, you know what the rule of thumb is in the NFL? Oh,
you just set the market.
I want more. I want more than that guy got. Milton Williams, yeah, there he is, and. So if Philly wants to keep him, and he was one of those better defensive tackles, it was him and Odighizuwa who was going to be the leader in this free agency period. Who do you want to keep? Now, yeah, you got Jalen Carter and you got Jordan Davis that can play defensive tackle. True, granted. But you also have Josh Sweat, who is I think, and he is a free agent also. So now you got two defensive linemen that you've got to sign. So you got to spend that more money that you've already spent some to give to Saquon Barkley. Now, I know y'all like to kick it down the road. And by the way, guess what? Dallas took a little bit of your playbook there too.
Yeah, we did. And we talked about the breakdown with Osa's contract. He has a signing bonus of $20 million, and he'll make $20 million in 2028 and 2027. 2026 next season will be 16.25. But his cap hit for this year is $6.25 million. You just signed a guy for an average of $20 million per year, and his cap hit his first year is 6.25, which means some of the later years are going to be more void years. But number two, this gives Dallas flexibility to go and be aggressive in free agency like everybody's wanted them to be. And it sets you up really nicely.
It does. Plus, I mean, if you monitor and follow the free agency frenzy in the NFL, everybody anticipated that in order for Dallas to get Diggy back in the house, they were going to have to pay an annual average of anywhere from $21 to $22 million a year. This comes in an average of $2 million less per year, and you're adding some void years so you can spread that cap hit out. And you're getting him his first year for 6.25. Win-win, baby.
I feel like this is a win for everybody.
Yeah, he gets he gets the security of knowing that him and his family are taken care of, and he doesn't have to uproot, and he doesn't have to pay state income taxes. And so, I mean, living there in Big D, and now we get a little bit more freedom as we go forward to address other needs in free agency.
And where I would love to turn to next is we're going to take a commercial break. And Dad, I'm going to talk to you about where Dallas should put their focus on next in free agency and locking up one of their better players. That's all I'll say, because we got to take a quick commercial break. If you're listening to us on Fans First Sports Network and watching us on Boom Broadcasting, it's Dad and the Boys, and we'll be back right after this break. Welcome back to Dad and the Boys. Michael Davis, my dad, Mac. Odighizuwa, he's locked up. His future is set. He is a Dallas Cowboy for the next 4 years. There's some incentives in there for, how much time he plays, how successful he is. But the overall is 4-year, $80 million deal. It is done. Now, Dallas had 2 priorities coming in. 1, re-sign Odighizuwa. But number 2, and it's not because of priority, it's just because how everything's laid out. Number 2, you got to lock up somebody long-term. And it's Dad's favorite current player on the Dallas Cowboys. It is number 11, the Lion, Micah Parsons.
You don't go forward without securing his future, period. I mean, let's call it what it is. Now, he is a priority. He will not be the next Dallas Cowboys sign, because the next Dallas Cowboys sign was signed today. C.J. Goodwin is on a 1-year deal. He is returning back. Sorry, Mr. Fossil, you're not taking him to Tennessee, baby. We're keeping him for 1 more year.
C.J. Goodwin, the special team specialist for Dallas. We don't want you playing corner.
Hey, we got a new special teams coordinator. He needs all the help he can get, too. Give him one of our better ones.
Yeah.
Who actually, C.J. Goodwin had his best year at special teams last year. Did you realize that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, he had one of his best years since he's become a Dallas Cowboy over the last 8 years. Last year in Dallas as a special teams player.
And it's going to be interesting to see how he does with the new coordinator.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're coming on to a job, it's like Matt Eberflus. Do you really want to come to a job and then all of a sudden you don't have what Dan Quinn had from the day one and what Mike Zimmer got to enjoy last year, like Michael Parsons? So all these trade rumors and all these people talking about trading Mike, I'm going to tell you now, there is not a number that you can throw at the Dallas Cowboys that's worth trading Micah Parsons. Your next 20 number 1 draft picks, sorry, keep them. Your next number 2 addition, keep them. You do not trade a generational talent like Micah Parsons.
Or you're going to end up in a situation like the Dallas Mavericks, but I won't get you on that one.
No, because I am a Mavericks fan. And Jerry, you should be thanking that GM, because every Dallas Cowboys fan going, at least we ain't got him. Because I'm telling you, I was in the hospital, woke up, and turned on SportsCenter and saw where Luka went to the Lakers. The team I hate the worst in the NBA. My favorite player goes to them. For who? Anthony Davis. Now, no offense, Anthony Davis, but you're not Luka, and you're not 25.
And you're glass.
And you're not a generational talent like Luka is right now.
And so I don't know what would be worse, is trading Luka away to the Lakers or trading Micah Parsons away right before he hits his prime, because he's a difference maker.
Micah's been a difference maker the whole time. And I understand this, if you are old school like me, honestly do not want to live as a Dallas Cowboy fan. We've been in it. They call us in the drought. It's been we're longest team to get to the NFC Championship, and we haven't won a Super Bowl in all this time and all this other stuff and everything. We've had some good teams, some quality teams, but I do not want to be the NFL's version of the Boston Red Sox. Because when they got rid of Babe, look what they went through for a long, long time. I want to, in the rest of my lifetime, I'm 55 years old, I want to see that hoist that Lombardi one more time at least. And Mike is our best chance. So, Jerry, he is a priority. I know that he will not be the next one signed because CJ got that. But I honestly looked over the next couple of days before free agency starts. I look for Trent Sieg to be signed, our snapper. I look for Jordan Lewis to be signed because we don't want him hitting free agency.
No, we don't.
And maybe another one or two. But how are we going to come up with this money, son?
Well, that's the perfect thing is we're starting to restructure deals. One, Osa Odighizuwa not taking a big enough cap hit this year helps give the team flexibility. And he knows he wants the guy playing next to him for the next 4 years as a Dallas Cowboy. And you look at CD Lamb, who got that big, highest non-quarterback contract in NFL history last training camp.
Before
All the other moves, he has restructured his deal, creating $20 million in cap space.
So we got 20-some million because of the increase. We was a couple million under, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, we may have had some money that we could roll into this year, left over from last year. So then, CD, you gonna let us get 20 million back? Thank you, buddy.
Hey,
I know it was just a stroke of a pen, but hey, we love you.
And it's not him taking a pay cut. It's restructuring. Like, hey, let me get this money here, right there. But it works.
I know what it is. CD, you said you are that happy that you just moved up some. You want to move up more in my list. Keep on going, baby. You going on there. You coming up. You moving on up.
And Dad does his top 100 list. He just celebrated 10 episodes this past Saturday. So
sorry for the break in there, but we're getting back on track.
We're back on track. We're kicking off free agency next week. There's a lot of stuff happening, but if you guys have missed that, you can go and watch it available on demand on both Boom Broadcast and the audio through Fans First Sports Network. But they may not be done. They may also restructure Dak Prescott and his contract. And there's reports where if this is going good, that could free up more than $30 million in cap space.
Wow. Sounds like Christmas time in Big D.
I mean, and we're going to get through like a whole like free agency preview, and we have something special also next week that you guys will want to tune into. That we'll announce a little bit later on today. But that is huge. That is huge because finally and this is where we were last year, right? We were looking, we're like, okay, Philadelphia goes and gets Saquon Barkley, and Baltimore goes and gets Derrick Henry, and this one here and this one there, and we're just like sitting here and we're like, well, we know we have a good team, but then we start seeing free agents leave, and we're like, okay, can we replace them in the draft? And then the season starts happening, injuries start piling up, there's no depth to the team, and it starts to unravel, and we're just like, why was there no aggression? And now, look, we're getting aggressiveness. We're getting Osa
selectively aggressive.
We're getting Odiggy signed. We're creating cap space with CD Lamb, Dak Prescott restructuring deals.
Yeah. And see, that's another thing. With them restructuring stuff, they typically don't do it at this time. They rarely do it after the draft so they can take and get, their draft pick signed and stuff like that. They don't go out and do it pre-free agency. That's not the Dallas way here lately. So the fact that they did it this early on in the off season is amazing. I mean, because, that tells me that, hey, they may have their eye on a couple guys. They just finished up the combine when they started talking to the agents and stuff like that. They're not necessarily supposed to be doing a lot of talking about other guys, But let's face it,
It happens.
all the teams do it. They kind of get the feel of the land. Okay, this is what it's going to take, and they hear the rumors and stuff like that. And if you follow the combine at all, what a turn of events, Mister. I never, never in my lifetime have found a microphone that I don't love. Only person I know that loved a microphone more was the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Mr. Jerry Jones refused to comment to media. And stayed out of his media bus frenzy. But he was talking to agents, hence Odighizuwa.
Yeah, and that is rare territory for Jerry. But yeah,
he might have to be careful. They might call him a real GM.
Oh,
I love you, Jerry.
Dad,
I love you.
Dad, we're not going to get canceled, but we are going to have to take another commercial break so we don't get fined or Jerry tries to not cancel our podcast show or whatever.
We love you, Jerry. We love you, man.
But we'll take our last commercial break. When we come back, Dad, we place not a franchise tag because obviously Odighizuwa got re-signed, but we did place a second round tender on a guy, and I'm going to talk to you about his impact next after this commercial break. Welcome back to Dad and the Boys. Michael Davis, my dad, Mac, and we did place a second round tender on somebody, and his name is our kick returner, our punt returner, our electrifying, super speedy man, Kavontae Turpin. Now, we did get to see him up close and personal in the hotel lobby, and he was smaller, but you knew if you tried to run up for a picture, he would dart 4.2 something. Like he would run away from us. And he ran away from a lot of special teams coverages. He started getting involved a little bit in the offense, but he's a restricted free agent. He has a second round tender, which means if there is a team who does try to sign him and Dallas doesn't match it, then that team would have to give Dallas a second round draft pick. Now, that is the rules, Dad. We know Kavontae Turpin has been electric. He's been a fan favorite. But I'm going to throw this question out at you. Second round picks are valuable. You can find wide receivers. This is a wide receiver heavy draft, in my opinion, with McMillan, Golden in the first round. You got several others, day 2 and day 3. Turpin's electric. I don't know how much money we would want to allocate for him, knowing we have to go get another receiver anyways. Would you be okay with letting Turpin walk? Not into the division, of course, not in the division. But would you be okay with letting Turpin walk if you got that second round draft pick?
I have no problem if Turpin's walking. The problem that boy don't walk anywhere. He flies. I mean, it depends on the team. I mean, if we're talking that it's Tennessee, who I feared that could do it. They do have Fossil there, and Fossil be like, "Hey, I found this boy." I'd like to have him. It'd be only a second round draft pick, and we have to. But what are they going to offer him? And Dallas does get to write a first refusal. Turpin has really come on in his offense. His role there a little bit. He's picked it up. And this is a draft. I think the top end talent, as compared to years past, is not as deep. I think the only in a regular draft, the only real number one guy is McMillan. I mean, honestly, it's the only first round pick I see. But with this current class, you're going to have Golden, that's potentially a first round pick. You got the kid from Ohio State, Mugaba, and you're going to have Burton from
Burton, Ole Miss.
I mean, so you're going to have a few guys there that could be picked up in the first, early second, and there's a lot of second round. Now, the further you get down the draft, you're going to see some guys, that are really good value in the wide receiver class. The problem is, it's like always in the NFL draft, teams tend to, when there's a shortage on that position, they tend to overdraft them. And that's what happens a lot of times at the quarterback position. They're overdrafted a lot of times anyway. But when there's a shortage and you're needing that, so why make yourself need that? Unless they just offer him something ridiculous, match the offer and keep on moving and expand his role in the offense. That's the problem. And we may have a team and a coaching staff right now that may be willing to do that.
And that's the silver lining, right? Is I would not pay Kavontae Turpin 10, 15 million.
No.
I'm just throwing a number out there to be a returner. But if you look at him and you're like, hey, he can be he's not going to be Tyreek Hill. But if he's a Tyreek Hill light in terms of just the way you can move him around the offense and get him the ball and just let him make plays, I would be totally okay with it. Like, if you're like, hey, we can actually use Kavontae Turpin in the offense, which is what I clamored for all of last year.
Yeah. And as the season went on, they started using him more out of necessity because of the injuries. And a lot, even though Jalen had his better year last year, he was coming on, and he's growing. He's not there yet to be number 2. I don't know that they're going to re-sign Brandon Cooks. Or if they're going to go out and get somebody like Cooper Kupp, or I'm still promoting 1 or 2 players.
Which are those?
Diggs, bring the Diggs boys together. I talked to that on Out of Pocket the other day. Or Coop, and I'm not talking about Cooper Kupp. I'm talking about Amari Cooper.
Could Amari Cooper come back?
He's a free agent.
Okay.
And, and that's somebody the one thing about it, Cooper, when he was here, he was the number 1 overall pick. He was the number 1 guy.
He was the number 1 option.
He was the number 1 option. Now he's not. That's CD's job. Cooper was playing on a $20-some million contract. That changes the expectations with those kind of numbers. All right? So you got to keep it going. Boy, you're doing good, but you got to match that. CD has done that since he signed his deal last year. And so you start looking at, okay, are we getting a return on our investment? And that's what they talked about. When they traded Cooper away, it was like, we've got to make a decision between Cooper at 20-some million or Michael Gallup at 13, 14.
And we chose Gallup.
It just didn't work out for Gallup because of injury. Okay. And Amari hasn't blown up anywhere else. He had a good year here or there. But if he's coming back and he's the number 2 option. And one thing about Amari Cooper, he's got some wheels on him, and you can bank on he is a route technician.
That is true.
He's one of the better route runners in the league and has been. So I would advocate for one of those 2 individuals, because I think for Cooper Kupp, you're going to have to trade draft picks, which we don't need to be doing. And 2, you're going to have to pay him a little bit more. I think Diggs would give us a hometown discount to play with his brother and rebuild his career, because he had a down year in Houston.
Before he got hurt.
He wasn't having his best year. And he got out of that stuff in Buffalo. Now, nothing against the Bills, but that environment just wasn't working for him at the time. So I would go with trying to reunite the Diggs boys. And that would kind of make a little bit for Trayvon, too. Hey, appease him, saying, hey, look, we brought your brother in here. This has been y'all's dream to play together. Or going out and getting Amari Cooper to be number 2 man. And there again, Diggs, everywhere he's went, he's had to be in the number 1 option.
He has.
And so if he comes to Dallas, he's not number 1 again. He's facing the team's 2nd or 3rd quarterback. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I'd be okay with that too.
Look, we had Brandon Cooks. Nothing wrong with Brandon Cooks. I like Brandon Cooks. He's a good guy. He had some injuries issues this past year. He was coming on after that first year. He was a good trade, a good investment, solid move by the Dallas front office. But Brandon Cooks, Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs. You've upgraded that position at number 2 wide receiver. While you're allowing Tolbert and Kavontae to grow and to build into that role.
And it all depends on how much Kavontae does get offered in terms of, does Dallas bring him back? How much do they value him? They got a lot of decisions, whether it's the draft here later this spring or it's free agency that starts next week. And we got some big content coming for you down this next week or so, because obviously free agency, we're starting to be aggressive. We're going to look at free agents we want Dallas to bring in. In addition to that, we're going to do a little quick draft preview. We're going to do our first mock draft to where we're like, hey, these are our needs before free agency. We don't know how free agency will shape up. And so we're talking through some parameters. We're going to get all those guidelines fed to you on social media so you guys can also do your mock draft and get those in, and we may share them on air as well. So if you guys want to participate, that you're more than welcome to. Dad, hope you can bring your A game.
Oh, I've got my A game, baby. I don't even got it. As long as these other idiots in front of us, 1 through 11, don't mess it up, I'm good.
Hey, you bring your A game, I'll bring my D game. Dallas game. Just FYI. All right. So, guys, also stands for Dad and Duh Boys. All right. On the Star Studded Cowboys Network. Guys, we appreciate y'all so much for watching us on Boom Broadcasting, for listening to us on Fans First Sports Network. It was awesome to have Dad back on his show on Saturday. It's good to finally sit down and be able to do this with him now. It's been a long time coming, but it's one of my favorite podcasts I get to do. So, I appreciate Dad taking time. I appreciate you guys being invited into our home and into this Dallas Cowboys podcast space. But for myself, Michael Davis, my dad, Mac, this isn't our first rodeo, and we'll catch you here next time.